Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday, and welcome to Wish Upon a Pod with me, Shannon, aka Shannon Fantasyland.
And me, Bethany, aka Tinkerbeth. It's time to make your Monday a little more magical. This is the podcast that mixes Disney magic and real life friendship, discussing everything from Disney parks and cruise ships to music, movies, and beyond.
Whether you're a die-hard Disney fan or just chasing a little wonder in your week, Wish Upon a Pod is your cozy corner of magic, mayhem, and friendship.
And on this week's episode, the topic on the table is Disney Vacation Club, or DVC.
I'm very excited about this one because this is something that is very important to both of us.
Yes, so if you didn't already know, we are both Disney Vacation Club members.
We are.
However, we are both Disney Vacation Club members differently as well.
Very differently, like as polar opposite as you can get almost. So it's going to be very interesting to actually kind of break down both sides, I think.
Yeah,
So,
and
yeah.
different, see what our opinions are and see what each
Yeah,
thinks as well. It'd be a good comparison. Um,
100%.
so I think we need to start with explaining what DVC is because I feel like
Some people are
not,
going to be like, what?
yeah, not everyone's going to know, which is fair enough because it's very
Yep,
niche,
definitely.
very niche thing. I have like a way of explaining DVC to like people like my parents and people who
But
don't
don't get it.
get Disney,
Yep.
and don't
Okay.
really know anything about DVC. So let's start there because I think it's really basic.
That's the best way to be, though, I think, isn't it?
DVC is Disney's version of a timeshare. It's not like a normal timeshare. It's different in that you are not restricted necessarily. So on a normal timeshare, you get your 2 weeks of the year and you get those same 2 weeks every year, as an
Yeah.
example. DVC is different. You get an allotted amount of points that you can use any time of the year at any resort, at any park across the
Yeah.
world. So we're talking Florida, California, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Paris, and Tokyo. And cruise lines and Aulani in Hawaii
Hmm.
and Adventures by Disney and all the millions of different things that DVC has
Yep.
got little things across
Everything.
almost every country across the world.
Yep.
So you're not restricted. And I feel like that's my biggest thing that I say to people, like to like my
Definitely.
parents. I'm
But
like,
don't get it.
it's not restrictive.
Even if you don't want to go to Disney every year, it's nice the fact that you can use it to go to, you can use it to go to like Italy or something as well, can't
Mhm.
you? And do like a week wherever. So you're not restricted to just going to the parks, which I think is amazing because people probably don't necessarily know that or even think about that, really, do they?
No,
But
and I
something like
love that it's all the parks as well. Because
definitely
you'd
not
think it's
just Florida
just
or whatever.
Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all of them, which I love and hope to take advantage of one of
I
these.
think the thing that I love about it is the fact that, like a normal timeshare, like you mentioned, you're normally buying into a specific hotel or a specific villa or something, where the fact that you're not just restricted to one specific hotel, like buying at your home resort, and that's the only resort that you can stay at. It's not that in any way, shape, or form. Obviously, you've got your home resort, but you can stay anywhere, which is the lovely part about it, I think.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you can do any time of the year. So
Yep.
like Jack and I have said that we would like to have gone to Florida every single month
Yeah.
eventually. And I mean we're about halfway there, to
You're
be
getting
fair.
that.
So we'd like to be able to say that we've done them all,
Hmm.
which is possible with DVC
Yeah.
because yeah, the flights change and things, but points they do fluctuate, but it's not by massive amounts.
No, unless you want to go the week of Christmas or something.
That one's
It's
expensive.
it's very expensive. But yeah, as long as you're fairly flexible, you can go whenever, really, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So Shan mentioned a home resort.
Hmm.
So what's a home resort?
Your home resort is basically where you buy your contract. So my home resort is Animal Kingdom Lodge. Bethany's is
The Riviera Resort.
Riviera Resort. So you buy a contract at a specific hotel, and that hotel is called your home resort, and you can basically book that hotel 11 months before going. Every other hotel you can book 7 months before going. So you get priority for your home resort, basically. So that's the one that you are guaranteed to get every single time. So it's not really a bad deal knowing that every single trip, worst case scenario, you're staying at Animal Kingdom Lodge or Riviera. That's
Yeah.
a pretty good worst case scenario.
Absolutely. The other thing with your home resort is that you pay, obviously you do your contract. So the basic of the contract is obviously it's slightly different for Shannon. We'll get into resale in a minute, but if you're buying through Disney directly, you're paying for your contract over 10 years.
Mhm.
And then after 10 years, you don't pay your monthly fee or what however you want to do it. However, you will always have to pay what they call annual dues, which is
Yeah.
basically you pay a fee to Disney to look after your home resort.
I always kind of like to see your annual dues as think of like a leasehold property. You pay for like service charge and ground rent. I always kind of see it as that's your service charge and ground rent for your DVC contract, if that makes
Or
sense.
estate agent over
I
it. He's got the lingo.
know. That just is the easiest way for me to kind of describe it and how I think about it, because you're basically paying for the upkeep of your hotel, really, aren't you? And that's exactly what service charge and ground rent is. So yeah, that's the easiest way I think to explain it.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously your contract price doesn't change. You get your contract out and then that's your price, you know, 20K for the whole contract, 30K, whatever it is, and then it's
Yeah,
split by the 10 years in monthly installments.
yeah,
Your annual dues go on for the entirety of your contract, but the amount fluctuates. It goes up
yeah.
and down. The last couple of years it has gone up significantly for most hotels,
There's
but
been
a
a
couple
lot of
of them have
refurbs, haven't
gone
there? So
yeah, a couple of them have gone down as well. And
yeah,
it is fully dependent on that resort. So take Shannon's, for example, Animal Kingdom Lodge. If there's a lot of baby animals born a year and
it
they
will go
need
up.
a bit more,
Yeah,
support, need a few more zookeepers, things like that, your dues are going to go up because you've got to look after those animals. You
definitely.
know?
The same as if a property's also had any refurbs or anything like that, they're obviously going to go up. Where the newer hotels don't necessarily need as much refurb, so they're probably a slightly bit lower. It's all relative. Obviously, they all kind of balance out and end up probably being roughly the same anyway. And just check basically. Every resort is going to be different, and they're all going to fluctuate up and down every single year, aren't they? But yeah.
Absolutely. The thing that I like as well is when just focusing on annual dues for a little bit is
Mm,
that every year when they go to change your annual dues, they hold a forum in Walt Disney World, and it's normally at the Contemporary in one of the big halls,
yeah.
where any and all DVC members are invited, and they basically Disney. DVC talk to you and discuss this is why we're thinking of putting them up here. What do you think? And people get a say. Like you don't just get told this is
This
what
is what's happening.
this is your
Yeah.
cost. It's we're going to have an open forum. We're going to discuss it all before it goes out to every member, and that's optional. Like obviously, I'm not going all the way to Florida just to
Just like
sit in
that.
that. I'll just wait for my pamphlet to see what the prices are. But
Yeah.
you have that option to be able to go and do that, which I think is really good because a lot of things like this, they just make decisions for you and don't
Yeah, you don't get a say
value the
at all.
members.
Definitely. Where DVC, they do a lot to kind of make sure that you are thought about and like feel like you've got a voice, and they take your opinion into consideration, don't they? I think you can definitely tell that.
Yeah, I think before we go any further as well, I think it's a really clear thing for us to say is that this is not for everyone. Disney Vacation
Definitely.
Club is not for everyone. It's a big decision. It's financially, it's massive, and it's
Yeah,
a
no
big
matter whether you
commitment.
buy DVC, buy Disney or resale, it's
Yeah.
still a huge, huge commitment.
Huge
And
commitment, huge expense, and it's not for
yes,
everyone. People take years to make this sort of decision. So if you're
yeah.
listening, just have a listen. Great. Don't think that we're trying to influence you in any
No,
type of
this is not a sales pitch.
way. We're just explaining to you this is what it is. This is
Yes.
why we like it. But also, I think in this episode, we're going to tell you a few of the cons as well that maybe
Yeah.
you don't hear as much. Because I think people are
No.
always going on about how great DVC is, but you never necessarily hear about the bad things. And there are cons, there are
Oh, there
bad
are.
things with this. There's always going to be, but people won't talk about it, which I think is really weird. Um, so we're going to
Especially when
go
it's such a
through,
big financial commitment.
right?
You
It
need
took
to know the
us,
bad things.
I mean, it took us 2.5 years to push
Mhm.
the button and go with it. And I think it
Yeah.
took you guys even longer, didn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, around that, but yeah. But I think even if you go to Disney every single year and that's your whole reasoning behind it, still seriously look into it. Like, don't just kind of, not that you would, but don't just kind of watch this podcast and go, yes, let's just do it. there's so much to look into, and this is literally just touching surface level on the ins and outs of DVC, isn't it? So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. I mean, we can do like a deep dive, or if anyone's got any questions as well, pop them in the comments or message us
100%.
privately. Like, we're very open. The only thing that I would say we're not being necessarily open about is how many points we each have, because it's very easy then to work out someone's finances, which is not a
Yeah,
comfortability that we're happy with.
yeah,
However, on that, that is how it works. You buy
yes,
points and then you use those points to pay for rooms at resorts, essentially.
yeah,
And the amount of points your room is different depending on the time of year you go. Like Shannon said, going at Christmas, the points are excessive.
they
It's also about which type of room. So if you're going for a deluxe studio, which is what Jack and I just stayed in our last series, each of the hotels is going to be the least amount of points. But then again, on your deluxe studio, you can have different views, or you can have
hmm
a preferred room nearer the pool. But then you can also have one bedroom, two bedroom. Some of them have
even a
got
three
three
bedroom.
bedroom
Yeah,
grand villas, you know. And again, the points go up and up and up. So you've got to work out how many points are right for you if you want to go every year, every 2 years. You know, even if
mhm.
you're planning to go every 2 years, DVC does make sense a lot of the time.
Yeah, definitely. I was gonna say that's we based it off of going every 2 years. Ideally, we want to go every year, but we based it off of worst case scenario. If we could go every 2 years, would this be too many points to have? Um, and yeah, it's kind of just figuring that out. I think the best way to do that is actually go so on the DVC website, or I think Disney's website do it as well. You can actually just look at the point charts for 3 consecutive years, so it will literally show you, I think currently it's 2025, 26, and 27 that they've got the point charts out for. So look
Oh,
at that. You
27's
can
out.
then, I think they are, yeah, I'm sure I saw them the other
Oh,
day.
I'm excited.
Woohoo! But look at that. See if you want to go, I don't know, every April, every year, for example, and that's roughly when you like to go on holiday. Check to see how much it would be for whatever room that you would normally get, and then you can kind of balance that out a bit more. It's probably the easiest way to figure out how many points are right for you, I suppose.
Yeah,
I think it's
absolutely.
also important, a random thought I just thought of, it's also important to realise, depending on what resort you buy, depends on the length of your contract. So every resort is a 50-year contract from the point that the resort is built. So the Riviera, for example, I think was that built in 2019. Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah, something like that.
Around that. So it'll be 50 years from 2019, where Animal Kingdom Lodge was obviously built a fair bit older. So we've got a slightly shorter contract than you guys have got. Obviously, price is all relative where that's concerned. Obviously, the longer contracts are going to be slightly more, the short, so on and so on. But yeah, check to see kind of the length of the contract as well, because they're all not the same length contract, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously you're paying for the first 10 years or
Yeah.
whatever, and then you get the rest of it. So for us, when we bought in 2024, we have 45 years on our contract. So in our view, girl maths coming out, guys. You pay for the 10 years for us, and then the next 35
Oh,
years,
free.
it's just free. It's not. You still have to pay your dues, and you've
Yeah,
obviously paid a heck of a lot of
a
money
lot of
for 10
money.
years.
Yeah,
But in my head, I'm like, free
that's
Disney
free.
holiday. Woohoo! Don't do that. Don't take that mindset, because if you're doing it with your other half, they won't be happy about it. Whenever I say that to Jack, he's
For
like,
legal
stop it.
reasons.
Yeah, right. Oh,
And that's the same way where if you look at Old Key West or Saratoga Springs, for example, they are the oldest DVC hotels. So there's only like 10 years roughly left on them contracts. So they are ridiculously cheap. So it just depends on how long you want to kind of lock yourself in with going to the parks or going like using this contract for, basically. It depends. It's all different for everyone.
yeah, absolutely. And on to the point when we were talking about points and what you think you should buy, the good thing is as well is that you can bank a year's points. So
Mhm.
say you weren't going in 2026, you think, oh, I'm going to bank 2026's points and go in 2027. So you say you got 150 points, then you've got 300 points technically. And then if you're not going to go the next year, you can actually borrow points from the year ahead as well. Obviously, then
Yeah.
you can't use them because you've already had them. And then also Disney offer you can buy each year 24 extra points at the price of the point, which I want to say it's like $21 or something like
Roughly, yeah.
that at the
21.25,
moment.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So say you're 10 points short, you can ring DVC up and be like, look, I'm 10 points short. Can I just buy 10 points? And they'll be like, yeah, cool. just pay this. And they'll give you that every year. You get the opportunity to buy those couple more points. It's not a lot, but to be
It all
honest with
adds up,
you,
yeah.
20 extra points makes a huge difference.
Massive, yeah, definitely. Especially with like the view as well. If you want to upgrade
Mhm.
just in terms of like, I don't know, a standard view to a lake view or a savannah view or a theme park view room, like them 20 points could be the difference of you being able to do that and not. So yeah, they're definitely worth it when you need to, but yeah.
Absolutely. So, Shannon, why did you buy DVC?
So we bought, I said don't do it purely for this reason, but the main reasoning why we done it was because we knew we were going every year. We were kind of in the financial situation where we wouldn't have been able to afford to do through Disney. I would have loved to have done it through Disney. But it was just that little bit out of reach at the moment. We have like literally within the last 6 months, we had just bought our first house. So wasn't the best time to go forking out thousands on a DVC contract, but we figured out that we could do it through the resale market, hence why we done it through the resale market. Um, and yeah, we knew we were going every year, and without kind of getting into exactly how much it cost and everything, we basically figured out that we love staying on site and we try to stay on site as much as we possibly can, even if we stayed in Pop Century every single year, for example, with how much it's actually costing us per month, we could actually do DVC at the same price that we would pay to be staying at Pop Century and stay in a deluxe hotel. So that was kind of my main reasoning of we know we're going to be going every year. I can basically pay the same price, but staying in these deluxe hotels instead of having to stay in a resort, which don't get me wrong, I love the value resorts, but if we can stay in a deluxe, why not? So
Absolutely.
so that was my kind of main, there was a lot of kind of little aspects to it as well, but my main two reasonings were those, I suppose. What about you?
I think ours is pretty similar, to be honest. I think a lot of people buy DVC for the same
Yeah.
reason, let's be honest. But my main one was is that want to keep going back.
Hmm.
Everything is getting more expensive.
It is.
Everything. So the more the prices of the hotels and things go up, things like that. Every trip we went on, it was getting more and more expensive, and we were going,
Yeah.
oh my God, how long can we afford to stay at Pop?
Yep.
We don't know. Whereas now we know that we have got guaranteed accommodation at Disney for the next 40 odd years.
Yeah. And I think the important thing is you're locking it in at today's price. So even if within that 40 years the hotel fees double, which let's be honest, that's not unrealistic,
No,
you're locking in it in today's price. So yeah, if you are going to do it, look into it, but the sooner the better, really, in terms of obviously the resort fees just in the last 2 or 3 years have gone up like drastically. It's absolutely crazy. So yeah, if you are looking to do it, definitely kind of do it sooner rather than later before they get even higher than they already are, really.
and other than like the fact that you get, guaranteed Disney holidays for so long and things like that, there are other perks to becoming a DVC member.
Hmm.
There are different things that you gain. And do you know what? You should gain because you are giving
100%.
Disney a lot of your money. So I
Yeah.
think the bare minimum they can do is give you 20% off merchandise, which for someone
Yeah.
like me, peep, peep the merchandise, who spends an awful lot on merchandise. 20% is a lot. It's
Makes
a
a
lot of
massive
savings.
difference.
You know what? I think that's part of the reason I probably bought more than I should have on our last trip because every time I'd be like, oh, this is really nice, I'd take it to, the cash register and I'd put it down. They'd be like, it's this. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot. I get a discount. And actually, it's cheaper than I thought it was going to be.
You're
And then
saving money.
honestly, and then I end up just buying more. So really, that's how they get you. To be fair.
They're not stupid.
Yeah, and you get 20% off, so 20% off merchandise and sit down meals
Yeah.
as well. So you don't get it in the quick serve restaurants. This does Jack's head in. He can't get his head around it because he's like, well, you get money off at the confectionery. I'm like, because it's a shop. He's like, but you don't get money off at Pinocchio's or Cosmic Rays. I'm like, because they're quick service.
Quick
And he
service.
can't get his head round what you get money
Oh,
off and what
bless
you don't.
him.
But it's really that simple. You don't at
Yeah,
quick services at pretty much everywhere else. You do.
you do. Yeah.
That's all there is to it. Jack's gonna listen to this and be like, wow, she really outed me here.
Oh, bless him. Quick note on that as well. You do get obviously all of the perks and everything that I'm sure we're going to go into anyway, buying direct through Disney. Buying resale is a whole different ball game. So the reason why it is sometimes half the price is because you don't get them perks. So again, massive reason as to why you go either direct or resale. Buying directly through Disney, you get all of these perks that I'm sure you're going to speak about, but going directly through Disney, you basically don't get any of that. So, but going through resale, you basically just get your points, and that's kind of it, really. You get some of the odd little perks, but the vast majority of them you don't really, do you?
Yeah.
So
Can we talk about resale?
yeah.
Do you I mean, this is more Shannon's area because I don't actually know a lot, to be honest, about resale.
To
So
be fair, I'm still learning.
I mean, just like obviously, we're not going to go into massive detail on it, because we don't have hours. And we could talk for hours about DVC, to be fair. But just like the main points of what's the difference, I guess.
So the main difference obviously is the price, and that was, like I said, the main reason why we done it through resale was because we couldn't afford to do it through Disney. That is your main difference. Is it is quite literally half the price, sometimes even more. Obviously, every contract is different. But at the point of when we bought it was pretty much half the price. However, there is a reason why it's half the price. So as much as obviously we are still official DVC members, we don't get a lot of the perks that people that buy directly through Disney get. So we don't get the 20% off of merchandise and everything. We don't get, so buying direct through Disney, you get specific DVC nights, you get the lounges and stuff, which we don't have access to them. So they're Disney are basically trying to kind of not get people to buy directly through resale, sorry. So
Yeah,
that's their kind
they're
of way of
encouraging you to step away from resale and buy
course
directly
they
through Disney.
are.
But
Yeah.
sometimes for that price difference,
It's
it
weighing up
does
your
make
options,
sense.
isn't it? What's more important to you?
The other thing as well with resale is that resale normally has contracts for every hotel.
Yeah.
If you go to Disney and you sit down and they tell you what contracts there are, it's minimal. It's going to be about three or four hotels and it's going to be the
Yeah.
newer ones. You wouldn't, when we looked at DVC, we couldn't get a contract for Animal Kingdom Lodge.
No, you can basically just get it for either the new ones and sometimes the ones that have just had refurbs, can't you? So I remember
Mhm.
when they done the full Grand Floridian refurbishment for like the Mary Poppins rooms, they done a specific amount for that. But yeah, it's normally just the new hotel. So I can imagine now they're probably trying to sell Lakeside Lodge quite a lot, I can imagine, as
Do
well as
you
the
reckon they've already
Riviera.
started selling Lakeside Lodge?
I think so.
I
Or they
know
will
that,
be soon if
well,
they
I
haven't.
don't think they will be because they didn't put Polly Tower up until a few months before it opened
Oh, maybe no, I haven't then.
for
I haven't really
contract
checked it.
sales. And
Maybe not
Lakeside
then.
Lodge isn't due till 2027, so I don't think it'll be up for a while. So it'd
Okay.
be Polly Tower
And
they're
probably,
pushing
yeah. Yeah, okay,
to
yeah.
open.
And probably still the Riviera as well, obviously,
Yeah,
because
they'll
that's
still be,
still
yeah. But then they do as well, they do different at Disney, they do different opportunities for the older resorts as well. So when we were there, we actually nearly bought Saratoga.
okay. I
Because
didn't
they
realise
had a
that.
special offer on where they were extending the because it's coming up to the
Yep.
end. They were going to extend the contract to add on like 20 years and offer new people the opportunity to buy that. And,
Okay.
it was a shorter contract than Riviera, so it was a
Yeah.
lot less money.
Oh, I
But
didn't realise that.
yeah,
I
so
knew they did that, but I didn't realise that you were looking into potentially
yeah,
doing that.
well, we had three options when we were there. We could have done the Riviera, we could have done Bay Lake Tower, or we could have done Saratoga. Those were our options when we were looking at buying in May 2024.
Hmm.
And we took Bay Lake Tower out of consideration quite quickly because it was very expensive.
Yeah, I can
To be fair,
imagine.
Riviera is quite close to it as well. However, with the Riviera for me, the Skyliner, Epcot's my favorite park.
Definitely. Yeah.
It just had a lot more, and it was a longer contract. So you were looking at Bay Lake Tower and Riviera being roughly the same price, but Bay Lake Tower's contract was a lot shorter because it was when the Contemporary opened.
Yep.
So that was a lot, there's not as much on there really.
No,
So
obviously it's expensive because it's a Magic Kingdom hotel, isn't it? Yeah.
and it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
We'll say that. We stayed there recently and it's amazing. So we'll say that. But yeah, we did contemplate Saratoga quite a lot. And after having stayed there this trip, I think if we were going to take a second contract out, which I planted the seeds actually today, in the future of buying a second contract, we would pick somewhere like Saratoga and Old Key, and we'd
Mhm.
probably do resale on it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Now you've got the all of the perks and everything that come with buying direct. You don't
Mm,
need to buy direct again, do you? Because you've got them. It's not like you get extra perks by buying it twice. So
yeah.
definitely, I've heard actually a lot of reps say that in the past. So
Mm,
once you've got them, get a couple more home resorts, but buy it resale because
yeah.
you've
It's a
already
lot
got
cheaper
everything.
and you've got all those perks already. So
Yeah.
that's, yeah, not that we're planning to do it straight yet. We've only just got this one really
Yeah.
yeah. But plant the seeds.
Down the
Get
line, yeah, you
anything
never
good.
know.
The other thing with resale, is that you can't book the new hotels, can you?
No, you
Something like
can't.
that.
So we basically can't book anything from 2019 onwards. So from the Riviera onwards, including the Riviera, we can't use our points at. Obviously, we can still do like DVC resale market in terms of actually renting points, the rental market. You can still do that, but we can't actually use our points to stay at anything from the Riviera onwards. We can still stay at the Poly Tower because it's an extension on a current hotel. We can use our points to stay there, but any new hotels can't use our points that frustratingly.
But also, having seen it on like a Facebook group or something,
Mhm.
they currently have resale contracts for Riviera.
They do, yeah. So
Yeah. So
basically, the
you could
different
then
with
stay in it, obviously, because
you
you.
can, but then you can only stay in the Riviera. So I didn't know if you knew that.
Oh, I did
Yeah.
not
So
know that. Look at that.
they get you, yeah.
Wow. Imagine
So
that only
you
being able
sounded like Owen Wilson then. Wow.
to cow. Sorry.
God. Yeah, so basically if they do still have contracts with the Riviera, they will obviously have Lakeside Lodge when that time is available, but you can then only use your points at that hotel. Which that's kind of where they get you. So you basically either only stay there or you don't stay there at all. That's kind of your pros and cons. We
Interesting.
also can't use our points to do Disney Cruise Line either. Which although that was a big thing for us, I remember you saying this as well, so I know I wasn't on my own. Disney Cruise Line, points wise, is extortionate. So even if you were a cruise person and you liked going on your cruises, I remember you saying you probably wouldn't even use your points to book a Disney cruise because it's better to pay out of pocket anyway. Personally, that's personal opinion. Um, they're just so expensive.
From our workings out, if we were to do a cruise, we're not. I'm not a cruise person.
You're
I'm not
not.
an
I'm
ocean
trying.
person.
I am trying.
She's trying to convince me, but it's going to take a lot to get
I
me on
can
one.
imagine.
But if we were ever going to do one, we would pay out of pocket because it is not worth it on your
Not at
points.
all.
It's
It's
really not. They're
basically like
so
paying for,
expensive.
yeah, it's ridiculous. The way it basically looks is you're basically paying for, I don't know, a week per se at the Grand Floridian during Christmas time. That is basically point conversion wise, that is kind of what it is. It's absolutely extortionate. So yeah, we wouldn't be doing that even if we did buy it directly for Disney. So as much as that was a thing of, oh, we can't do it, we wouldn't have anyway. So that
Yeah,
kind
it
of
just
quite
doesn't make
quickly,
sense. And
no,
to be fair,
definitely.
probably I imagine if you'd bought through Disney with the price being higher, you probably wouldn't have bought the same amount of points that you bought for resale
No,
either. Because
exactly.
it's all fluctuating. The cost of your contract is on how many points you buy.
Yeah,
And how many points you buy is then how long you can stay, where you can stay, things
that's
like
it.
that.
Am I right in thinking, double confirm this with me, but am I right in thinking you have to have a minimum of 150 points buying direct to be able to have all of the perks? Is that still a thing? Yeah?
Yeah. So if you only bought 100 points, you wouldn't get your DVC discount, you wouldn't get access to the lounges, you wouldn't get anything like that. You can buy those contracts. They
Yeah,
still offer them to you, but they will encourage you to buy 150 points because then you get all those perks.
yeah, definitely.
And to be
So
fair,
basically, if you
100
buy 100
points
points, one, it's not going to get you
is
that much anyway. Two, you're basically like a resale member, if that, yeah,
yeah,
kind of adds up that way.
essentially. Yeah, I would say 150 points. And to be fair, 150 points is a good starting place for a lot of people.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
a good,
You
if you're
can
going
get,
every other year,
yes,
it's pretty good. And you can bank, obviously, so you technically get like 300.
definitely. And
Like
depending on
that.
what hotel you stay at as well, you probably can get 2 weeks every year for 150, depending on where you stay and what time of year you go.
Yeah, you've got to be smart about how you use your points. Like that's why a lot of members do what's called a split stay. So on our
Mhm.
last trip, we did a split stay across 3 hotels because the older hotels, the bigger hotels, they have got that
like the cheaper points
Lower,
one.
yeah, the
Yeah.
lower point price. So if you're going to do that, it's just a really good way to savor your points
Yeah.
is to get a room there because that's going to give you a lot of freedom then to use that. That's the only way we could use our points and afford to do the theme park view at Bay Lake Tower is
Yep.
because we stayed for 6 nights at Saratoga because it was
Yeah.
cheaper points wise. You've got to balance it a little bit.
Yeah. Don't think that you're going to be able to go on, I don't know, say 150, 200 point contract, whatever it is, and stay at the Grand Floridian for 2 weeks because that's you're not going to be able to do it, unfortunately.
Not happening.
No, unfortunately not. It'd be lovely if you could, but you can't. So yeah, obviously the slightly smaller contracts, obviously you do need to balance your hotels a little bit more. But then you can still do a couple of nights exactly like what you did at Bay Lake. You can do them special hotels that you're only going to do for a couple of nights every trip, ideally, or every other trip or whatever. But yeah, as long as you're kind of careful with your points, you can still do them really nice hotels, just not for
You
your
gotta
entire
be
trip.
you gotta be strategic with it.
Yeah.
So obviously we've spoken for a good sort of half an hour about all these great things about DVC.
Hmm.
So I think we need to take a step away and just explain to people what we believe the cons are, the negatives for something like
Yeah.
this. There are some.
What's there
There
are?
are. My biggest one is that buying direct through Disney, DVC, they don't make it easy for UK residents.
No, they don't. That was
They
that was my one.
It's so difficult. The
Hmm.
finance side of things, they don't understand it. They don't understand
No.
it. So you've got to pay a deposit, and then you've got your contract, and then you've got your annual dues, which you pay. Your annual dues you can pay yearly or monthly, and your contract you can pay monthly. And we
Yeah.
said to them, we were like, "Oh, how does that work? Because we don't have a US bank account." Don't know.
Yeah. It's almost like they don't care about that. You figure that out
Right.
yourself.
They literally don't have a clue. What they could really do with, and Jack and I say this all the time, is they could do with a couple DVC guides that are made or like made are trained explicitly in the
UK
UK.
based.
Yeah,
Definitely.
sign me up. I'll go now and do it, you know. But like they just don't explain it very well, and it ends up being very confusing. The first 6 months of
Yeah.
our contract was stressful. We were getting late fees, but they were telling us that we didn't need to pay yet, and we did need to. And it was just so confusing. And they sorted it all out eventually
Mm.
and helped us through it and took away the late fees because it was their fault that nothing
Yeah.
was explained to us. But it was very stressful, and we had so many times of like, what have we done? Like,
I
what,
can
what have we
imagine
got
when
ourselves
it's that much
into?
stress. Yeah, I can
Yeah,
imagine.
honestly, it was crazy. But other than that, as well with UK, is that they kind of forget about us.
Yeah.
They forget about international DVC members. The US members, they get everything.
Oh yeah.
They get all the perks, they get extra things, and always at the bottom it's like the little words like US residents only, and it's like, well, what
Hmm.
about us? And a big portion of DVC members are UK members.
Yeah, because a lot of people that are local to Orlando probably don't feel the need to be DVC members, really, do they? So you get a lot of international DVC members that they just kind of don't really think about as much, I don't think.
Yeah, and it's just like this they started a new membership magic thing, which is an extra fee. It's like $99, but it
Mm.
means you get like some lightning lanes and a special meet and greet and like a few different things included, but they didn't even give UK residents an option.
No, no,
Like
it's
they didn't even give us a
just US.
chance. And do you know what? Loads of people would have bought it. I'd have
100%,
bought
yeah. God, yeah.
it.
Getting free lightning lanes and everything, if you know you're going every year, it's worth it because the amount of money that people sometimes spend on lightning lanes and obviously all the extra perks that you get with it as well. Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, they just
Like
kind of forget about the UK.
that's my biggest thing for
Same.
UK people. They just kind of forget about you a little bit and they
Yeah, you're
don't
a
fully
second thought.
understand the processes.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of people, it's a bit like what you were saying about the annual dues. Most people probably then think, oh, okay, I have to pay my annual dues yearly, which some people don't have a grand, a couple of grand, however much it is that year, just laying around in their bank account. So have to do it unless you know the little like the little ways around which we did. And it was only because you explained it to me, kind of how you've managed to get around it, that you actually realize, oh, okay, I can do it monthly because we would have just had to save up and pay it
Yeah, and
annually if
that's
we
what
didn't
we were
know.
looking to do as well. And I was like,
Yeah.
there must be another way. There must be, and you can transfer it onto your Revolut or your Chase or whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it, and then transfer it monthly. Obviously, it just feels a bit long. But if
Yeah.
you use a app called Wise, it creates you an American bank account, which is
Hmm.
crazy because now we have a direct debit for our annual dues, which we just transfer on payday the right amount over, and it just does it automatically, and it's just
Yeah.
so much easier. But
Very much easier.
I get that Disney probably can't tell you that
Of
you could
course.
use these different options and things, but I don't know if someone could just make that information clearer for UK people wanting
I
to do
genuinely think
they
they
want to
don't
be.
know that you can do that because they've never had to
To
kind of
be
look
fair,
into.
I mentioned it to our DVC guide on
Yeah.
this last trip, and he was like, I've heard of it. I was like, but it's not something I would suggest to anyone because I don't know anything about
No.
it because I live in the US. And I'm like, and to be fair, he was a DVC member as well. And but
Yeah.
it was just like, yeah, it's just baffling to me that they haven't thought through things like that. Like if they just had like three or four, literally that's all you'd need
Hmm.
across the whole of the resort, and you would just have UK people be like, okay, you want to buy DVC?
Speak
Great.
to.
Do you want me to book you an appointment for an hour with our UK DVC specialist?
Definitely.
Like, and people will because it will make things so much easier for them.
I do kind of feel like they should all, to a certain degree, have to have a basic understanding of the international side of things. Because, like you said, international DVC members are probably quite a high percentage of how many DVC members there are. There's probably quite a high percentage of us. They should have to really all kind of have a basic understanding of that. And I can imagine there's certain questions that every UK or international DVC member's going to have that you'd think they would be able to answer. That being one of them about the
We
anthems.
were told that someone would reach out to us once our contract was confirmed from DVC, and they would help us set up an American bank account so that we
Okay,
could do the payments.
right.
No
No, I
one
didn't.
reached out, and then they tried to charge us, and they were like, "You've got late dues and late fees," and I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, hold a second! You told us that this was happening, which isn't even a real thing."
Oh,
And
really?
the
Right.
guy who sold it to us has left Disney now, so
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. We've got a new guide who is there now, and hopefully knows a bit more about what he's talking about. But yeah, so we were like given late fees, and we were overdue in our payments and things. We were like, "But hold on a second, we were told that you were going to help us with this, and you
Yeah.
haven't." Like, so I just like want to make it clear that if you are listening to this, you've just become a member or you're thinking about becoming a member, if you've got any questions, please just ask us
Definitely shoot them
because
over because it's stressful. It
it's
can
so
be very
chaotic.
stressful.
And we want to be able to help other people do this leap if you want to. Again, it's not for everyone, but if you're thinking about it and you want to know more information, like
Yeah.
reach out. Well, you can tell we can talk about this
And the
forever.
thing is, although, like we said at the beginning, we're not trying to sell this in any way, shape, or form. If you genuinely are interested, if one of us doesn't know, I'm sure the other one does. Like, we've both put a lot of research into this. Like, we kind of know the ins and outs of DVC, like the back of our hand, kind of thing, by this point, don't we? So, yeah, I
Absolutely.
yeah, try and find a question that stumps us.
So I think the only other con that I would say is just the money side of things.
Yeah, the big obvious one really, isn't it? Is
It
it's
is.
a lot of money, and like we said, it's not for everyone. Um, Putting yourself into that long length contract, because even if you buy one of the shorter length contracts at Old Key West or Saratoga, you're still like banking yourself into a minimum of a 10-year contract, which is still a long time. So either way, you're spending thousands on a long contract. So yeah, it's a lot of money. Just put the
Yeah.
research in.
And there's always like little hidden extras as well, which is something that I just remembered. Like
Yeah.
if you, although they say you can stay anywhere, which you can,
Mhm.
to be able to use your points at Disneyland Paris, for example, or two out of three of the hotels at Disneyland in California, you have to pay it's either $70 or $90 just to be able to
Yeah,
use
I
your
think it's
points there.
90.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that's in the grand scheme of things, $90 is not a lot of money.
Is nothing, but it's still
It's the
yeah,
point,
things that
isn't
they
it? It's the
don't.
principle. You're already
Yeah.
shelling out
A lot of money.
thousands of pounds to them, and then they're just
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, but if you want to stay somewhere else, you're gonna have to pay just a little bit more again. And it's like, oh,
And I think it's fine if they advertise it, but they don't
they
really.
don't. And they only added California recently. So when we
Yeah.
first took out our contract, they didn't include California in having those fees, but now it
You'd
is.
you'd kind of think that when you take your contract out at that point, that should kind of be all of the hidden T's and C's and everything should stay the same. Like they shouldn't really be able to change it. So really, when you took yours out, if California wasn't included, it shouldn't be really. It should only have changed for kind of new members,
Oh
I
yeah,
think. Anyway.
I agree
But
with you. I think they just, yeah, it is something where you've got and they send out newsletters and they send out
yeah,
brochures and they do keep you in the loop, but you've got to be in the loop because they
yeah,
do
definitely.
change things, they do add things, they do take away things. Like there are little things that go on. But in the grand scheme of things, for us, for both of us, it made sense.
Yeah, of course. And that's different for every single person. But yeah, for us, obviously, we've put the research in, put the time and effort in, and obviously with all the pros and cons, because there are a lot, it added up, it made sense for us financially and physically. And I think the one thing I love is it gives you that thing of, I know I'm going back. The Disney blues aren't as bad as they normally would
Mhm.
be, which I know isn't like a thing financially, but I can imagine the people listening to this and you know how bad the Disney blues can get, knowing that okay, I'm going back next year or I've already got another trip book or something just takes that away. Like the difference when we came back from our last trip, knowing that we are going back, like even if we haven't got it booked,
Literally.
we know we are coming back fairly soon. It
We
just gives you that, oh,
we came back 3 months ago and I'm yet to have Disney Blues.
see
The
exactly what I
first
mean. Like,
time ever. I have
yeah,
never come back from a Disney holiday and after the first few days of being home, not had the Disney blues. And this trip, I'm
yeah.
like, I haven't got Disney blues. I'm going back next year. It's booked. I know I'm going.
100% exactly. And
I
that I think that's such a like a nice difference in something that I didn't even think of before booking it. It's not until you actually go and come back from that trip that you're like, oh, this is really nice. I haven't got to worry about that because we know it's going to happen. So I think that's like a little added bonus to it.
And for people like us who are planners, like I've got my next 3 trips organized. I know roughly when I'm going and roughly how many points I've got to be able to use.
Yep.
On each one. Obviously, you don't 100% know because not all the points charts are out and they do fluctuate a little bit, but you're like, I can plan that. I know that in 2026, I'm going to go in this month. In 2027, I'm going to go in this month. And
Yeah.
you can plan it. And it's just like, there's no, oh, I don't know. We'll have to see how things go, because other than, the flights, and then obviously you've got your Disney tickets. But again, DVC offer a annual pass to
Yeah.
DVC members that's for Florida residents only. And actually, Jack and I just did the math on it. And if you're going more than once in a 12-month period as a DVC member, buy an
Worth
annual
it.
pass.
Yeah,
It,
definitely.
I worked it out and it is about £850 for that annual pass. All right. A 2-week pass on attraction tickets for 2026, like £750. But then if you
Wow.
know you're going before the 12 months is up, that's like 100 extra pound for
Yeah.
for your next lot of tickets. It
Yeah,
literally,
definitely.
when I looked at it, I was like, why haven't we already been doing this? Why have we been shelling out this money? Like, it doesn't make
That's
any
the thing, because if
sense.
you're not DVC, you don't necessarily know the next time you're going back. You may have a rough
Exactly.
plan, but because you have to plan 11 months out, most of the time you probably already have your next trip booked or
Yeah.
you know when you are booking
You're
it.
ready, like, to get it. But obviously,
Yeah,
there's a 7-month window, so a lot of them are going to be more last minute than you would be if you're
yes,
doing like a big, like your big trip, your once in
yeah,
a lifetime trip, as they all start.
yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
and then yearly you go back.
And then
Um,
you get to come obsessed.
so like we know when we're going in 2026, we know when we're going in 2027, and it makes sense in 2026 for us to become annual pass holders on
Mhm.
the DVC pass holder.
Yeah,
So watch this
definitely.
space. I'm gonna become an annual pass holder, guys.
I think that's also a really good thing with the resale side of things as well, because like I said, if you don't get the discount with resale, if you know you're going within that 12 months, you do get discount on annual pass. So either way, then you've got a discount. So yeah,
So at least
sometimes it's better.
you still get that perk, which is good. Because like I
Yeah,
said, you can see that even with what I was just saying, it's a massive saving.
yeah, 100%.
Mm.
So girl math, it's better, it's cheaper to go more than once a year.
Yeah, we love a bit of girl math over here.
Oh yes.
That's what we should have named the podcast.
Girl math with Beth and Shan.
That's going to be the like next episode. Wish upon a pod, girls talk girl math.
We could go on forever.
God, we could.
Anyway,
Anyway, thank you for listening to us, especially near the end here where we've just kind of rambled on. But I
rambled.
think
Yeah,
you and I could talk DVC for hours.
we could. Yeah, so
There's
definitely,
so
obviously,
many
there
things
was
we
any
haven't said
questions.
as well.
Yeah,
Like
this is
there's so many
literally just
things.
scratching the surface, isn't it?
We could easily do a part two, a part three, many more. So do, if that's something people want to listen to or you and I want to speak about, Shan, like just let us know. We
Yeah.
want to speak about it, let's be honest. So if you guys want to hear it, let us know. We'll talk more about DVC because
Yeah,
I
of
think it's
course.
really interesting.
Yeah, it is. And like you say, there's so many hidden things that not everyone knows. So it's really good to just kind of shed light on that a little bit. So
Yeah.
yeah, if there's any specific questions or anything that you guys have got, either put them in the comments, message us individually or anything. And if there's quite a lot of them, we can easily fill another episode with one of these, can we?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for listening, guys, and we will talk to you next week.
See you later, guys.